BlogTalk Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Chrism, and I'd like to welcome you to this conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. Today, I have a special guest coming all the way from the next seat in the car that I'm in right now. Her name is Magdalene de Deus, and she has helped film many of the videos in Europe, and I would like her to say hello.
Hello, everybody.
And, of course, the queen of sustainable comfort. I would say hello.
Hi, Chrism. Hello, Magdalene Bedeus. It's good to be here with you both and with all the listeners on this cool evening here in Ireland. I will begin as usual, I think, Chrism, and just give people, if I may, the address they can go to if they would like to support the work that Chrism does for Kundalini Awakening Systems. The address you can go to is www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. And as always, on the upper right-hand corner, you will find the donate button, and it is very easy to give a donation. Donations are very much appreciated because Chrism works full-time in the work that he does, and donations support the program and support the teachings that come from the Kundalini through him to all of us in our Kundalini awakening and in all the venues that Chrism does this work and this teaching. So, again, that's www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com. And I'm looking forward to this program, Chrism.
As am I. And so let us begin. And thank you for those announcements. In the middle of the program, I would like to pass the microphone over to Rosemary, who has joined us here. And I see you. Now, hello, Rosemary and Eileen. I would like to pass the mic to you in the program. However, let's go ahead and get started. Today's topic wants to be about healing, Kundalini healing, what you have to do, what you have to not do, what are the options when it comes to Kundalini healing. And one of the things that I've noticed with Magdalene de Deus here is the power of prayer for healing. When you have the awakened Kundalini, a person has an exceptional level of power that they don't get to be in control of. The Kundalini pretty much controls its power within the individual. And so you may run into people that say, yeah, I can do this with my Kundalini, and I can make it go up and down my spine, and fountaining out my the top of my head, and you'll hear all these wonderful, great statements about what that person can do with their Kundalini. And I'm going to know the Kundalini decides what it wants to do, and it decides what and where and how and who it is going to affect another person. It's just the person's ego that is giving themselves the power, so to speak. And I do want to make that correction. It is not about you holding power. It is not about your phenomena. Phenomena is not power. Okay, phenomena is an experience that a person has of an energetic quality or spiritual quality, typically unexplainable by science. And certainly, if Kundalini allows a person to feel like they have control, well, then they're being given a teaching about what it is to claim and to have ownership of their condition But it also is giving a person an opportunity to step back and realize that this is grace from the divine. This is not God saying, okay, you can master me now. God doesn't say that. Kundalini doesn't say that. You'll hear cars going by. Just so you know, I'm in a parking lot outside the tourist information zone in Sedona, Arizona. So you'll hear some cars. It's really hot here, by the way. If I pass out during the show, just I'll pass it over to Magdalene. She can continue. When you hear somebody saying, "Oh, I'm the master of Kundalini. I am a Kundalini master," and it's just not so. If anything, the best thing out of that type of a statement is that it is the Kundalini that is in charge. It is the Kundalini consciousness itself that has the mastery, and that is infusing the person's body, infusing their 5 bodies, all the 5 koshas, the 5 bodies of the human expression, the physical, the spiritual, the mental, psychological, and the emotional. These 5 koshas are what the Kundalini is in charge of, will expand upon the individual itself or themselves. They don't get to have that much control. I mean, they can choose whether or not they're going to surrender to the Kundalini or they're going to resist. And if they resist, well, then certain things happen. If they surrender, certain things will happen. It's always preferable to surrender. If any of you who are listening in the archives right now, and I'd like to welcome you and say hello to you, for those who are listening in the archives and those who are listening in the chat room right now, if any of you are there, all of you as well, the Kundalini itself welcomes your surrender. You're not surrendering like you would surrender to an enemy or anything like that. You're not rolling over and playing dead. You're basically saying, okay, I realize that this is a force that is bigger than me. This is a force that is of the divine, and I am very grateful and I'm very happy. And in my gratitude and my graciousness, I will surrender the control of my life, of control of my body, of my mind, my 5 koshas, my 5 bodies of expression to the Kundalini. Okay, and so this is what I would encourage. I would encourage everyone to look at the Kundalini in this way. When a lot of people, they're to certain levels of self-inflicted grandiosity or self-inflicted. I think I'm going to close these windows a little bit here. One moment. Lots of cars deciding to drive by now that I'm doing the show. Okay. So, a lot of these people, for some reason, they've had a hard childhood. They've had some sort of a difficult level of experiences in their life, and their self-validation has taken some hits along the way. And it's this self-validation that people may need at time in their life in order to qualify themselves as being good enough and happy enough and famous enough. And, there are many levels of psychological attitudes and ideologies that a person will jump into in order to find themselves a balance. First and foremost with themselves, and then secondly with the Kundalini. The Kundalini will wait for them to come around. It knows that person has had a hard karmic experience, during childhood and the early years of adulthood. And this is, if you didn't have a hard childhood, it doesn't mean that you're ineligible for Kundalini. It just means that you already paid the price of your karma at another time. Okay, for many, many people with the Kundalini, it is that those early moments of childhood where the many different aspects of karma from the previous life and then other previous lives will come to be collected. That debt will be paid, so to speak. That balance will be achieved. And so realize that when you hear somebody boasting about, them being a Kundalini master and all of this, has nothing to do with having supremacy over Kundalini, even if they think it does. You can hear that and just go, oh, I see what's going on here. Okay, well, that's all right. That's all right. They're at that stage. They can feel and believe what they want, but I'm not necessarily going to buy into it. Okay, so that is the attitude that I would suggest a person have when they're, when they come into contact with people who need certain strong levels of healing due to the difficult levels of karmic experiences they had at the early part of their childhood. And this leads us into the greater manifestations of Kundalini healing as well. In order for you to really, really, really begin to understand what Kundalini healing is all about, you need to begin to give yourself to your Kundalini. It's okay, Magdalene, you can call. It's all right. She's sitting right next to me here in the car. She's trying to be so sweet, so quiet. Well, thank you, my dear. And I'm sure everybody else is thanking you. But if you got a cough, please, cough. Okay, so the first thing you really need to do is to begin to surrender yourself completely and totally into the Kundalini. Try to take down any ego-based ideologies that you are doing this, that can only be done because you want it to be done or you command it to be done. Give yourself to the Kundalini. Give yourself to God, to the divine within, not to the ego within. Okay, that's a very, very, very important first step. You give yourself to the divine within, not the ego. I'm going to have to take my iPad out of here because it's such a beautiful spot. I'm a little concerned about that. It could be just the fact that we're in Arizona. And so as you begin to surrender into the grace and the love and the gifts and the beauty of the Kundalini, you begin to understand how awesomely huge this energy is and what it wants to do through you. I'll use Magdalene Deus as an example because she's here. Magdalene has begun the exploration of the power of a Kundalini-enhanced prayer. It's exceptionally effective for people, but not in the way a person, locked behind the five senses would expect. Because the Kundalini has a much greater level of understanding about the underpinnings of the universe and how things are woven together, how things interact, and what levels of karma a person has, those who are doing the healing, giving the prayer with the Kundalini, and those who are receiving it. The Kundalini will know the karma of the person receiving and be able to develop an application of its divine self into that person's equation. Prayer is a very, very positive, powerful practice that a person can do for Kundalini healing. And once again, when you're not claiming, ownership of the Kundalini and mastership of the Kundalini, when you're not doing that, you're taking your ego out of the control seat, and the Kundalini is coming in and beginning its control of the situation. And as it begins its control of the situation, that is when the karma is read. That is when that person can have it. And once again, I must state that it is not always what you, as a five-sense person, would expect to have happen. Okay? Just as in many things with the Kundalini, we have to look at the equation differently. We have to look at it with new eyes, with the eyes of a child, but also with the eyes of compassion, the eyes of honesty, the eyes of truth, the eyes of love. And before I forget, if anybody would like to call in and talk with me about their Kundalini awakening experience, no matter what it is, you can call this number 347-934-0026. 347-934-0026. And I'm going to ask Magdalene to talk a little bit about her experience with praying for other people through the Kundalini, and perhaps some of the experiences she's had with regards to the positive outcomes that have occurred. So Magdalene, how did you first feel when you started praying to the Kundalini for the healing of another person?
I'm going to talk more about how I feel at the moment because I can't really recall how I used to feel when I started.
Okay, all right.
So at the moment when I pray for another person, I will just pray to the Kundalini for this specific person, and I will really try and at the end I always finish and may it be according to your will. So I really try to get my ego out of the equation. And at the end, typically I get what I would call a kriya because I'm not sure what that is. But very often I get kriyas or like a tensioning of the body inside as I say the prayer. Sometimes, but not so often, I might feel a bit of bliss also coming at the end of it.
Excellent, yeah. And what can you see from a results standpoint happening with you when you do these types of prayers for others?
So I'm not quite sure about your question concerning the response for other people.
Yeah.
I can really see. I think it's been very positive most of the time. I can really see the prayers are being answered in usually quite. We don't have to wait very long to see a response. So that's helping me. That has also helped me to believe more and more in the prayers I'm saying for other people.
Yeah. See, now this is a really good thing that you bring up here. I mean, with regards to the timing and the healing, it can be instant. If any of you can go to Hawaii, or at least look into the Huna religion. I've talked a bit about it on this program before, so I won't go into that too much. But Kundalini healing can be instantaneous. It isn't always, but it is instantaneous. And this is something that is very important to understand, that when you say a prayer, a Kundalini prayer, and as Magdalene does, you can watch Magdalene, give people prayers, and you'll see her go into those prayers. Those prayers come during her prayer. Actually, sometimes it shows the end of the prayer, or the sequence of the prayer has been finished, and boom, she gets a kriya. Am I right?
Yep.
And so this is what I want to talk with everyone about today. Are these prayers for healing are very, very powerful. And so once again, we need to control how we think. We need to control how we think, because I know that when a person gets mad and they're saying, gosh, I wish that person would just jump off a cliff, and we have to be fair. You don't want to think those ways anymore. You have to mature your thoughts. You have to mature the way you feel about other people. Doesn't mean you can't get angry. Doesn't mean that you're never, ever irritated. Doesn't mean any of those things. What it does mean is that you're not going to say something that would be a prayer that would be, shall we say, not constructive for that other person who's been irritating you or hurting you or something of that nature, because that may come true. The Kundalini may allow that to come true just to teach you the lesson about how it is to control your thoughts. Amelia, if you would come online again, please. I know that it's going to take a little while here for you to jump in a little bit, coming in from Ireland. Hello.
Hello, I'm here.
What are your experiences when you're saying prayers for other people in a healing vector?
Something similar, Chrism. The ego, definitely. I go into prayer and devotion to the Kundalini, and I will not have my own wishes present at all for what I want to have occur. That's not there. When I pray to the Kundalini, it is, I speak to the Kundalini of the the intention, I suppose, of what has been requested. But it is, as Magali said, it is through the will of the divine that what is given or what is not given. And my experience has been that I will feel sensations within my own body sometimes in areas that the healing is being given to the other person. And I have had occur beautiful visual things have occurred, and also instant healing, such as things when I'm with somebody in somebody's presence, there has been instant healing of burns given. I mean, instant Chrism. I have had instant, Kundalini has given somebody else instant healing in their eyes. So the Kundalini is miraculous, is just amazing, really, and chooses to do what it does. Yeah, it's got nothing really to do with me.
Well, it does. It does have a lot to do with you, because you are that walking, talking Holy Grail. You are that container that has legs, that is walking all over this world and giving the inner divine the opportunity to help other people recognize and experience their own inner divine, so that this world can come into a greater balance with the divine structures that hold it together. So it has a lot to do with the individual, but it, we don't have to, feel that we're being egotistical if we recognize that we are the Kundalini as well. I mean, the Kundalini works through us. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing what I said at the beginning of the show, having a lot of self-aggrandizement, but you got to recognize that the reason I'm asking you to control the thoughts is because you have the Kundalini. You have God's ear, and God's ear has you. And so you're going to need to recognize that and validate that, not so much for the ego, but for the surrender to the Kundalini itself within you. Do you understand? Talking to you, my dear.
I know you just broke up there, Chrism. Yes, I understand what you're saying. Yes. No, that's okay. You're back again.
Sort of.
Yes.
How's the sound?
It's fine now. There was just a little break up there for a couple of moments. It's fine again.
I just dropped the iPad.
That would explain. That would explain it. Yes, well, I heard what you were saying about all of that, and I think the listeners did as well. That we don't have to become so that we can acknowledge our presence and our compassion and our surrender and our honesty and our love in being there, and the Kundalini working through us. But I didn't hear the very end of what you said.
Well, so yeah, no, that's basically the point. Is there anyone in the chat room?
We have a few people in the chat room. Julie is there, Elizabeth, Fashji, Sukha. So perhaps they'd let us know how the sound is if somebody would type it. I think it's pretty good, Chris, and it's good on my side anyway.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, let us continue. So the scenario is that when you have the Kundalini, and I know that there are those who are listening that are struggling to have the Kundalini, they want the Kundalini, and they're working very hard to develop the Kundalini, and they're visiting the shamans, visiting the many different teachers. They're getting Shaktipat. They're following, the many different paths that are available for people to begin to open into the Kundalini. But having the Kundalini, you must surrender to its control. And that means to take a step back from all of the planning and all of the organizing, all of the issues of control around finding the Kundalini. You don't, once the Kundalini is there, then it's there. Then you begin you begin to surrender yourself into that grace. You begin to surrender yourself completely, and no longer are you out there seeing. And, you know, the grass should not be greener anywhere in comparison with the Kundalini. Do you understand what I'm saying? There should not ever be a choice that is better for you. And this is sometimes a hard thing to figure out because Kundalini can be very challenging at times. Very challenging to the point where, you know, you'll start looking for a relaxation of the symptoms. You're too hot. You can't sleep. You can't digest the food that you like. You can't eat the food that you like. You can't drink the fluids that you want to drink. You can't interact with the people the way you once had interacted. And they don't know you because you're not interacting with them the same way that you've always interacted with them. And so they're a little like, what's up with Chrism? What's up with Magdalene? What's up with Amelia Santara? Why is she so different now? You know, and so there's a lot of change that you as a Kunalini person went out into other people's lives, but also in your own life. And so when you look at these things, and then you begin to look at your world around you, the social world around you, who would benefit most from a healing and why? Okay, why are you giving them a healing? Because you're a loving individual and you want to give that person the grace of health. Well, that's a good enough reason right there. That's a good enough reason. And then you sit there and you go into prayer. And if Magdalene de Deus would be so kind, maybe she could talk about how she formulates that prayer.
Okay, I just need a bit of time because I formulate it in French, of course. So let me think about this. Okay. Yeah, I usually say, I typically start with my Kundalini. I address to you this person, I address to you this prayer concerning that and that. That's how I start.
We'll call the prayer person the Joe Smith. So
okay, so my Kundalini, I address to you this prayer for Joe Smith, and then I say what I wish for this person. And as I said, at the end, I always finish with something that I think translates like, and may it be according to your will. And that's typically how I would formulate the prayer. And sometimes, I mean, typically it's not a long prayer because very often it happens when I see a person, for example, who needs help. So I would say a prayer very quickly, right there in the moment. So then, of course, I typically don't spend, it's typically not a very long prayer, I would say.
Well, now that you have the microphone, Magdalene, how have you had to change your thoughts? How have you had to change the way you have your inner dialogue now that you have Kundalini? How has that changed, if you can tell us?
I know, I mean, for me, the biggest challenge is probably the ego, the vanity, which I feel very strongly. For example, the vanity, if I feel vanity in me, that would be amplified. And because I feel it so strongly, then straight away I try to recognize this and move away from, for example, in that case, this vanity.
So you would move away from vanity, and this would help your inner thought. Do you do like do you just say, oh, that's vanity, I'm not going to do that?
Yeah, I sometimes I just say go away.
Okay, so vanity, go away. Well, that's very good. That's an excellent technique, and she's actually quite correct. And when you're driving along the freeway, you don't have a lot of time to formulate a prayer. You know, and say time-consuming way, saying, putting it all together. You can just think it, see it, and do it, and it's done. So you see the person, you think the prayer. The prayer is given. You might have a kriya or something as an indicator, and then it's done. And then you forget about it. You totally take yourself out of that equation, and you allow what the Kundalini has given for that person to be given just between your Kundalini and that person, not between you, your ego, or any of those things. You begin to really make your separation. Separations are exceptionally important when it comes to Kundalini healing, and as you begin to make your separations after the healings that you do, those healings will go much stronger, far better for the person, because you're no longer trying to mitigate it. You're no longer, you're not trying to control it or decide what vector is being used. That's all being done by the Kundalini. In a way, Kundalini healing and prayer work is very, very simple to do. It's not a hard. I get some of these books and some of these teachers going, well, you got to have your fingers in this certain position, and you got to be able to say all the sutras and all sayings from this special magical book over here, and then if it's God's will, then the healing will be given. Well, this isn't the case with Kundalini. Kundalini is God's will. And if you're seeing somebody who needs a healing, like an accident on a road or some other kind of thing, you do that prayer. You let the Kundalini do the work. Let it do the work. You are that. You hold the energy. You're the Grail, the Holy Grail, the walking, talking Holy Grail, as I said earlier. You are that gift of grace to humanity. You are that person. You are that grace, that demi-saint, shall we say. And so you allow that to occur. You really just, when you see that accident, you say the prayer, see it, feel it, let it go, separate from it. Okay, if you have any questions about this, or any kind of different scenarios that you'd like to introduce into this conversation, please call this number, 347-934-0026. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, there are certain, we are here in Sedona, Arizona, and Magdalene and I have gone out to some of these psychic vortexes that has made Sedona famous. And we went out to one last night, and we met a very, very wonderful, engaging couple, a father and a daughter, up on Bell Rock, and a lot of beautiful, good friendship developed. That too, in itself, is a level of pain. I felt there was a level of pain between the father and the daughter, and I could tell that our presence, Magdalene and myself, we were there, and he's, he even brought up, said, "Is this an accidental visit?" He brought this up at different times, and no, of course, nothing with the Kundalini will be seen as accidental. So recognize it. Like when you're down here in where all these crystals are, where all these amplifiers of psychic and electrical and, the different levels of energy, even the body electric, when you're down here, with that in mind, then you're going to have an amplification of what the Kundalini is bringing through you to others. So when you go to, say, the mountains, anywhere where there's granite and there's many diverse levels of crystalline mineral structure around you, know that the crystals in those rocks are going to amplify. They're gonna amplify it. It's going to be stronger. It's going to be beautiful for you. Very, very beautiful experience. And so if you can get out into the mountains around granite or in other types of crystalline structures, do do so as best you can. Do that. And now, as I mentioned before, I'm going to turn the phone over to Rosemary, and I believe Rosemary has some announcements. Hello, Rosemary.
Hi. Hello, everyone, and thank you for this topic, Chrism. This is very inspiring and helpful. And I probably would add in my prayers for people considering coming to the seminar and that they be listening to their Kundalini. I frequently say that to them, to be listening. And it's a good message for me to remember, too. So the seminar, the Kundalini Awakening Seminar led by our leader, Chrism, is September 27th and 28th here in the Twin Cities. We have a little bit less than 2 months yet. We have close to a half a dozen registrations. New conversation with someone this morning about that.
Well, can you just go ahead and give us the dates and the times, Rosemary?
September 27th and 28th, 9 to 5, Saturday and Sunday at the Best Western Dakota Ridge in Eagan. And
how do they get a hold of you?
651-452-3161, Rosemary G. at usinternet.com.
So the phone number that they can reach you at is 651-452-3161, and your email is rosemarygg at usinternet.com. Is that correct?
That is.
All right. Well, very, very, very good. And I just want to let the people in Minnesota know that Rosemary is working very hard to bring this information to you. That this is Kundalini healing that she is giving, and so as a propos of our conversation right now, she's at least 50%, which in actuality for Rosemary equals about 100%, because she's walking out there, all these different towns. She's really doing her best to bring this information to the masses there in Minnesota, and I want to extend a heartfelt gratitude to you, Rosemary. Thank you for the efforts that you're doing on behalf of the Kundalini.
Thank you.
Okay,
my privilege.
Yes, and we are blessed for that privilege. Okay, I'm going to check the blue, my dear. And so, with regards to the healing and the Kundalini, you don't have to do the Reiki thing where you got the hands over them and you're waiting for the hot or the cold or for some discarnate entity to plug itself into your hands so that it can plug itself into somebody's body that's, they're ill. Certainly don't recommend that. Not necessary to do with Kundalini. They don't have to do anything but just be who they are. And this is a little hard for even the mistake, because most of the patients, most of the people that are going for spiritual healing, they expect to have you wave their hands over them. They expect that. They want that. There's a certain level of ceremony that a person, become acclimated to within the society here in the West, in the United States especially, but I think also in Europe. That's Magdalene?
Yes, probably, but I can't speak too much about that because I'm not quite sure what people would expect in Europe concerning healings, or I'm not very familiar with all this.
Well, let's just talk about the people in France. Are the people in France open and responsive to spiritual types of healing?
I think so, because, for example, at work, there's a woman who's very open to what she does. And she's explained to me, she started opening a healing center. I don't know exactly what she does, but she's explained to me, she has lots of people coming to her. So I suppose, there are people there who are also interested.
Good. I think that, before the American Medical Association existed, that shamanic forms of healing were far more commonplace and far more expected. When you had a medicine woman or a medicine man or a shaman person who would who would cover those areas for the tribe. You know, there were, in the past, I think the distant past, we were really held together by means of the Kundalini, and as people began to trade in their natural abilities for abilities that were more conducive to ego expression, well, the Kundalini and the spiritual expressions began to recede into our memory and then to become totally forgotten. And so I think this is a great level of remembering that the Kundalini brings for a person to have. So I want everyone who is listening to this to really go into themselves and see and feel that primal energy, that shamanic energy within themselves that allows a Kundalini healing prayer to be effective. You don't have to be a kahuna, you don't have to be a shaman to do this, really. All you need is the Kundalini. Yes, everybody has the Kundalini at the base of the spine. Yeah, everybody does. But not everybody has it in the awakened state. And it's the awakened, activated / state that I feel is the most important area for a person to have. Now, we have people who have a natural proclivity for healing. They have, through their birth and through their karma, you know, they've been allowed to experience levels of healing that other people don't have. Even Kundalini awakened people, you know. And so it's not to say that the person needs to be cogent or recognizing of their Kundalini. It does say that, you know, there's a lot of karma that goes along with being a healer. There's a lot of choice. There's a lot of sacrifice. These are the levels of selfless service that I'm talking about that tie into the healing. When I talk about selfless service, let me give you an example that, because I have Magdalene de Deus here. This is what Magdalene does. She, on occasion, she will go into a convalescent hospital in the city she lives in, and she will visit people. She'll talk with them. She'll push them in a wheelchair. She'll press with them. She'll give of her grace to people, and it's not because they're sick. You know, it's just, you know, part of it. And this is just me, and she can correct me if she wants, but part of it is how we treat our elder people, our elderly. You know, how we treat them in the West. We just send them off and just kind of visit them every now and again.
Yeah, that's right.
And so there's a certain level, I feel, of abuse inside of that equation. Not abuse that is purposeful or anything like that. It's just that we're not appreciating the level of grace that they have. They're beginning to have the retro birth, which is death. Death is the retro birth, right? Birth and death, basically the same thing. You're dying. Dying is being birthed into another dimension. Birthing is being killed to a different dimension. So in a way, these people are prepared for their journey, and oh my gosh, is it so hard to give them the love and the respect and the acceptance that they need with that. Yes, Amelia.
Chrism, I'm not sure if you have a window down, but there's a fierce noise like a wind.
Oh, sorry, I had it in front of the air conditioner.
Okay. So.
Sorry about that. Oh my gosh, my creature comforts got me. I'm also dead.
So that's okay. It's gone now. It's fine.
Yeah, thank you, and that was Eileen. Did Eileen tell you?
No, I can hear it. Not at all. I can everybody.
Okay, well, thank you.
It's like what happens with YouTube and the wind's blowing, you know. So I knew it was a wind thing. You're welcome.
So you know, let us honor our elders. It doesn't mean that you can't take them. Sometimes they need that kind of service, but you don't abandon them there. Okay. You don't abandon them there, and they're not. There's something to be said, I think, for the Nichols, keeping their grandmother and grandfather in high honor, and listening to their experiences and allowing their experience to really begin to help solve the problems of life that they may currently be having. We need to respect elders in a way that is more than just shoving them off into a convalescent hospital. If they need to be taken there, that's fine. But, that becomes a place for you to visit daily. You love the way I'm just organizing your life. So, and Magdalene, how do you feel when you go there?
So when I go there, I'm going to talk especially about how people respond. They basically the women who are there and the two men who are there specifically, they keep telling how happy they are to see me, how grateful they are to see me, that I'm this child, that please come back. As soon as I walk into there, they've got this smile on their face. Yeah, I really see they're happy.
What a wonderful joy to be able to give people such grace, Magdalene. And I want to thank you personally right now for the gift of grace that you give to people that way, consistently, over and over and over again. And I'm going to recommend this as a way of strengthening your connection with your Kundalini and strengthening through that connection your ability to have Kundalini prayers be as effective as we both know yours are. Okay. Now, when I first started to look at the whole idea of healing Kundalini, because I wasn't a prayer-oriented person, I didn't really, that didn't really gel for me at all. That was just kind of like, oh, please, I'm not in church again, am I? And the Kundalini just allowed me, because of my previous awakening, that I came in with, I was allowed to see into a person's equation, see through their skin, see into their body, see into their organs, look at different areas of blockage, look at different areas of disease, these types of things. And I was allowed to, actually I was guided to do certain types of things that would help that person heal. So for instance, the Kundalini would color an illness black. So I'd be looking into a person's body and I could see black hairs. Now we all have black hairs, quite a big deal. The immune system is constantly responding to definite illnesses. We all have cancer running through our bodies, and the immune system is the one that shuts it down. And so you really need to take care of your immune system, and you need to really, the people that you're healing and the people that the Kundalini is healing through you, you need to maybe talk to them about really taking care of the immune system. God put the immune system in us for a purpose, and the purpose isn't to suppress it like so many of the drugs are doing these days. They're called immunosuppressants. And I don't suggest that you shut down that immune system unless you've got some sort of a faulty immune system that is giving you a challenge that way. Well, then, like AIDS or some other diseases will attack the body. But you've got to understand that it's attacking the body for a specific reason. It's not attacking the body because, oh, wow, there's a body, let's attack it. It's not that simple. Okay, so really, really do, let people know that they need to take care of that immune response. This takes me right into the whole vaccination problem. The MDs are so caught up into their relationship with the big pharmaceutical companies that they have lost their way. They are no longer medical doctors, they're chemical doctors. You got to be a chemistry major to be an MD these days. Okay? And, they're not going to let your immune system do its job. They want that pharmaceutical to do the job. Yeah, forget about what the body brought on with it. Let's just do big pharma. Not all MDs are like this, but I think the vast majority of them are. And this is something that really needs to change, I think, for our health to substantially improve. And this is across the board. All the populations need to maybe get off of the bandwagon of big pharmaceutical. Okay? You're not having, you're not having a problem because the chemistry hasn't been created yet to take care of it. You're having a problem because some aspects of your lifestyle or your history are demanding some attention from you. And for the most part, in the West, we're going to give that attention over to the MD. Oh, take care of me, doctor. Here's $20 million. Okay? So I'm not... I would prefer to trust the immune response in a person first. That's the God-given grace that we need to have our own healing in a way that our body, and this is going to be amplified. The immune system will be amplified through that awakening. And that also goes to the person that you're doing the healing prayer for. The Kundalini will use the body constituents first. You don't see Kundalini going over to Dollar Drug and buying paracetamol because somebody has a headache and go, okay, here's your paracetamol. No. Kundalini gets right in there and begins to do the work. And I'm going to suggest that, in accordance with your Kundalini, that you find great admiration and great love for the level of your own immune response that you have right now. And for those of you like Amelia and Rosemary and Eileen and Magdalene and other people, Vashti, everybody, Julie, you have Kunalini. So therefore, you have a Kundalini-enhanced immune response. Now, the old habits that you have of eating a Snickers for dinner or maybe drinking Gatorade as a midnight, beverage, those things will need to change. And your ego won't want them to change. No, I like my midnight Snickers. But you're going to have to change. And so, this oh my gosh, if Kundalini's also good and great, how come I can't have my midnight Snickers? Why?
In my case, I would get terrible stomach aches.
Yeah. You got to you have to sacrifice how you were to embrace how you are becoming. You don't get to be who you once were anymore. But now, the hand of God is upon your shoulder, and you don't get to shove the hand of God off your shoulder. You understand? Within the Kundalini, and as we are looking at our own responses to our own immune system and our own equation within the Kundalini, you want to really begin to let go of the fears that you've had in the past about this or that. Okay, trust the Kundalini completely. Trust the Kundalini completely. And if the Kundalini tells you to go to an MD, then go to the MD. Go to the MD. If the Kundalini is giving you symptoms and you're scared for your health because it's just so different than what you're used to having, you're so far outside your comfort zone, well, then go to the ER. Let them hook you up. If you're having that rapid heartbeat or you're feeling, like you have some sort of an energetic imbalance where you can't get to sleep or you can't stay awake or any of the many, many, many different behaviors and actions that happen to a person with the Kundalini, well, then go to the ER. Let them hook you up. If they're honest, they won't find anything. And I say if they're honest, they won't find anything. If the doctor needs a Maserati payment, he might, start guessing. But for the most part, the Kundalini will help you stay away from folks that maybe have a different agenda. For the most part, I've seen that happen with myself, and I've seen it happen with other people. So I can pretty, unless you're really going to buy into the whole MD thing, and you're going to be, giving yourself chemicals that will try to break down the Kundalini awakening and things of that nature. A lot of people that have the Kundalini syndrome try to do that. Well, then, you're going to venture into areas that are going to be difficult, to say the least. So accept the Kundalini as the ultimate force within you. Accept the divine. Accept God as the ultimate force within. I'm not talking God Jesus. I'm not talking God Krishna or Buddha or Allah or any of those guys or gals. Well, I guess guys in that case. I'm talking about the divine totally. The divine. You can call it God, you can call it whatever the name you're calling it. Replicating and laughing and having a great time. There is more to life. There's a lot more to life. And for those of you that may be stuck in some morbid position within your country and within your culture, you're working 8 to 5, same thing, 60 cycle hum from the fluorescent bulb, computer arm, as they call it, computer arm. So there's many, many different ways for a person to really begin to look into their own healing equation and to begin that level of healing before or even at the same time that they begin to heal other people. Sometimes we have to heal others first before we can get enough confidence to heal our own equation. And as long as your intentions are pure, and as long as you're surrendering to your Kundalini and letting the Kundalini do the work, completely go out of the equation, things are going to go well. Don't have the expectation of seeing instantaneous results. Magdalene does. Magdalene, she can get instantaneous results right now. Okay, and that's because she's been practicing and working with this for the last 4 years. She's had her awakening for about 5 or 6.
Yes, I think it's about 5 years, I suppose.
And would you mind sharing with everybody what you said to God? What the question you asked?
Yes, it's a time when I was very sad. It was a difficult time for me in my life, and I sat on my bed. And also, I was feeling sad, but also at the same time, I remember I was really attracted to being close to God. And I said to God, please, I would like to be closer to you. And I also remember another prayer I said to God. I said to God, if you would like me to be, if you think it's appropriate for me to be a healer, please could you allow this to happen according to your will? Or
and then what happened?
And then I started meditating for about 3 weeks. And one night I really couldn't sleep because I could feel this type of bubbles going up my spine and kind of getting stuck around my nose. And I looked in the mirror and I could see my nostrils were kind of moving. And I was very, very worried then. I don't know. I'm laughing now, but at the time I was not laughing. I really didn't know what to do. I started to get dressed to go to the MD, and then I was thinking, okay, what am I gonna tell to these people? It was kind of strange going there in the middle of the night and telling them I have bubbles going up my spine and I can't sleep because my nostrils are moving and I don't know what's happening with me. So I decided to leave it to the next day. You want me to continue? And then I called this woman who had introduced me to the meditation, and she said she had heard of something similar before, but she didn't really know what it was, or I mean, she couldn't really help me so much with this. She just said, "Don't worry," but
don't worry, be happy.
I think that was kind of difficult, so I started doing research on the internet, and I'm lucky because I found Chrism very, very, very quickly, actually. Probably about 10 days or 2 weeks after this happened. During the night, I found Chrism, and I thought, okay, I'm just gonna try and send an email, see, and maybe we'll be able to tell me what's happening. And he answered very, very fast. I was so happy when I got an answer, and then he invited me to go on the website. Yes, I was. How can I say? My mind could be at rest. I don't know if you can say that in English. And I think it changed everything because I knew there was somebody here to help. There was a community. I had information. So I think it helped me not to go into fear, really. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Chrism.
Oh, well, thank the Kundalini. And yeah. So there you have it, folks. That's Magdalene de Deus. And that's a thumbnail sketch of her awakening process. So when you're talking to God, seriously, folks, don't think it's not being heard. When we're praying to Jesus or Buddha or Krishna, Allah, whoever it is, it's being heard. It's being listened to. You are not alone. You may think you're alone, but from a broader angle, from a wider perspective, it's a lot of attention being paid to a person like you. A lot of attention. And people are listening. Spirit is listening. God is listening. And if you ask if it is appropriate for me to be a healer, and then please make those changes, well, hello. You can expect bubbles to start coming up your spine too. And, that's a very beautiful thing. And let's not forget that, she said that her nostrils were moving. And hyperflaring of the nostrils is a very, very classical Kundalini experience. Your nostrils will flare so wide, you will be in disbelief at how that could even be. Those nostrils. Okay. And so really, when you're saying the prayers for help for other people, it's being heard. It is being listened to, and it is being acted upon. You need to know this. Make sure that you take your own agenda out of it. So, for instance, oh, dear Lord, heal my mom because I don't want to have to stop using her car. And I know, and I know that most of you wouldn't do that, but there are some of the folks out here who are listening to this that'll do that. They think that they have the right to begin to insert their wants and desires into another person's healing equation aspect. It must be for the benefit of another person. There must be a level of purity that a person has in order to make these prayers the most effective. Magdalene de Deus, she has the purity. Now, if you know Magdalene, she's very kind, she's very considerate. No, she's not perfect, and none of us are while we're still in a body, but she's really working towards that. And I'm not saying that because she's sitting right here. Of course, I have all the sharp objects removed from the car, so that's just a safety thing. But she is like Amelia and Rosemary and Eileen. These are people that are caring about another individual before they care about themselves. First, they reach out. You look at Rosemary. Rosemary, she buys jackets for the homeless. She makes sleeping bags for the homeless. She buys shoes for the homeless. How many people listening right now can say that? I'm waiting. Call in. 347-934-0026. I want to know. Do you walk the streets looking for homeless people so that you can help them? Rosemary does. That's a big deal. And God is watching. Divinity is listening. Think about that. You are never alone. There is no such thing as privacy at all, except from other five-bodied, five-kosha corporeal beings. Privacy on a spiritual level doesn't really exist. It's just our egos that want it to be that way. And it is our egos that must have it that way because, not everybody's lifestyle is going to support having Kundalini awakening. A lot of people can get fired from their job if they're found to have Kundalini awakening. They'll just think you're just kind of flippy. I'm here in Sedona, and I was walking around the first time for Magdalene that she's been in Arizona or Sedona, and I wanted to show her this place. And so I'm walking around the stores here, a lot of the people here are really, really not happy with spiritual. I think because, they've seen so many crazy people come down here, espousing every different tradition, every different technique, every different this or that, and charging thousands and thousands about it. You might have heard that one guy, somebody Stevie, or I don't know. He was out here in Arizona, near Sedona here, and this is where they did their what do you call it when you have a teepee and you go in and it's really hot. This is hot Native American technique that they were doing that killed people. This happened out here. And boy, I tell you what, you don't need to light a fire inside that tent. All you got to do is have it under the hot Arizona sun, and that'll work. Right there. So yeah, there's a lot of appreciation for the spiritual people down here. Except, as you look at it, it seems to be the underpinning of their entire economy. So when you come down here to Sedona and Arizona and these areas, as in any area that you're traveling to, I don't care if it's Ireland, where Amelia is, or Florida, where Eileen is, or Minnesota, where Rosemary is, you're not yes, I could again, hello. You're not doing that. You're not doing that. And I see a lot of folks trying to get in the way of prayer work. This can get in the way of your prayer work. Let me bring it right down to a technique. I like the technique that Magdalene does. I do. And I'll suggest the technique to each and every one of you, unless you already have one of your own. I know that Amelia, she already has the way of feeling prayers and feeling the healings that she's being given. For Chrism just looks right through the body and into the body and begins to adjust certain things along the lines of that healing that the Kundalini suggests to be done. Other people have different techniques, but as long as separations are made and no great level of self-aggrandizement is being sought after, received, or felt, then I think things can there's a level of purity within that will allow an amazing level of healing to be given. Now, if you have any questions about that, number is 347-934-0026. If you have any stories about your healing experiences with other people, call in, 347-934-0026. I won't be going for the full hour as I did last time. I think I cut it, I think it was about 2 an hour. Only because I'm sitting here in the car and I, it's really hot. sweating here. So let that be the case for you. Go for your purity. Go for the level of grace that it wants to express through you. Yes, to be free. Remember that two-way street with the Kundalini. When you pursue Kundalini, it pursues you. And always remember that having and wanting are two very different things. Okay, if you're ready to give to sacrifice your expectations and your attachments to this world, then allow the Kundalini to help you with that. If you're ready to be that healer, to say those prayers for other people, Magdalene does, like Amelia does, like Rosemary does, like Eileen does, like I do, like I feel Fausti does, and Steve does, and Julie does, and, you know, a lot of the private students do. Well, let the Kundalini express through you. Now, I know that a lot of people listen to this show when they're sleeping, and this is for them. Kana untangana patia vamahe, vinkavina mupamashabastamam, Jaishtharajam Brahmina Maspatana, Nasimmanutini Seed Saranam. Sleep well, my friends. Take this information. Express this information through your bodies, through your koshas. Sleep well and let the Kundalini teach you of itself as you slumber. For the rest of us who aren't sleeping, I want you to really begin to do the same thing that I just told the sleepers. Let the Kundalini come to you. Read the material. Go to the Facebook group, Kundalini exclamation point. Go to the page, Chris Mitchell on the Facebook network. Go to KundaliniAwakeningSystems1.com on the internet. Go to Kundalini Awakening Systems 2 on the Facebook networks and the Kundalini Awakening System 1 at Yahoo, the Yahoo network. Go to Kundalini Awakening on the Google Plus network. Tell people it's waiting for you to cure. You know, maybe Chrism isn't the flavor of Kundalini education that works for you. Then go somewhere else. It's okay. As long as you go with the guidance that the inner divine is sending you, that's the most important thing. It's not about a human personality. Not about that at all. It's about the grace of God flowing through you into this environment and into other people and plants and animals and insects and fish and water and air. Okay? Just a few things. Magdalene, how has the Kundalini affected your dream life?
So my dream life is very, very different from what it used to be. I have dreams nearly every night, so I wake up in the middle of the night.
What animal is the most present for you?
So the most present is the spider.
Oh my God!
It's very often after a dream, I open my eyes and I see a spider floating in the air.
A big spider or a little spider?
Well, it depends. Typically, they're not very small. I must say, spider is the animal I've always feared the most. So I had to just surrender to this.
Yes. Now. Within the Kundalini context, Magdalene, what happened here What happened here in Sedona that has to do with the spider and you? What happened? What were we doing?
We were shopping with Chrism. I think, I'm not going to say what for. I was looking for T-shirts for my dad, and then we were going to leave. I remember I was sitting outside waiting for Chrism, and then Chrism called me. And apparently this very nice shop assistant told him, "Oh, I want to show you something." And I think it was more as a joke for her. And she showed Chrism two earrings in the shape of a spider. And of course we were both very interested then, myself and Chrism. Especially, the spiders, they were also, it was the shape of a spider, but also the stone of, what stone was it? A turquoise. Yeah. And I know I have a dream concerning me wearing some turquoise, probably that would be good for me or something like this. So it was two spiders with, in the two shapes of spiders, plus the stone of the turquoise. So that was a very good combination. And of course I bought the earrings. I've got them for me now. And also I must say, when I bought those earrings, I think it was also a bit of a stretch for me because, as I said, I'm still not completely comfortable with spiders. So I thought if I put them next to me and I see something that's helping me in my process, that's protecting me, it will also help me.
Well, this is interesting, and this returns me to a memory that Amelia Centaura and I had. I'm going to bring Amelia on here. Hello, Ireland. Calling Ireland. Wake up.
Hello, Sedona. Here I am. Yes,
Amelia, can you tell the story of the spider in Tombstone?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. Let me see. So we're in Tombstone, and I am sleeping. And,
that's Tombstone, Arizona.
Yes. And I am sleeping, and outside I hear this. I'm aware of this thing outside the door, and it's going up and down the street, and I know that it's not. It's some kind of an entity thing, and I'm feeling a bit fearful. And then outside the door, I become aware that there is this huge giant spider. I mean huge, guarding the door between where I am sleeping and where this thing is outside. And it's a giant spider, and I can see it. It's as big as the door.
When you say giant, how big is giant?
Oh, as big as the door. I mean, it's huge. It's not a little one, and I can see the legs are standing out. It's huge and hairy and quite enormous. And spiders wouldn't be. I bet you Magali is going. Sorry, Magdalene, about that, but it's just like. But the amazing thing is, I knew it was the Shakti Kundalini, and I knew that the Shakti Kundalini was standing there in that form between me and whatever it was that was going up and down outside the street, because whatever that was knew we were inside and was interested. And I had this amazing connection with that spider, and when I think of that spider now, it is with, it's very different. It's without fear, and it is with gratitude and love. And
Go ahead.
Yeah, the legs I can draw, but I'm not going to describe them. They were huge. And not only that, actually, but it moved a little bit. It wasn't just standing there statically. It kind of moved a little bit, just a couple of inches this way and then a couple of inches that way, so outside the door. And that was a tactile sound that I could hear as well, Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, here in the Southwest, the spider is known as the sacred weaver woman who weaves the universe and whole place. So among the Dene, which other people call the Navajo allow themselves to be called Navajo because it means enemy in their language. But the Navajo, their actual name is the Dene, D-I-N-E, with an apostrophe over the E. The Dene people worship the spider. The spider is a good thing for them, and it is something that is held in a sacred position within their society.
That's
some
amazing.
of the northern. Yeah.
But when I was a child, Chrism, I mean, if my dad was here or my mom, I always had visitations from spiders, all through my childhood, and they were chasing me. They used to, they would be on my body. The joke in my house was, well, any spiders tonight? I would come running out of the room hysterical because there would be huge spiders come down from the ceiling, from under the beds. I'd lift my blankets, they would be there, and it was an absolute joke in my house about the spiders. And if only I had known, really, I mean, isn't it amazing how these visions or these dreams that we have, and we're totally unaware of the significance of them, and that continued all the way up to my Kundalini awakening event, but after that, the spiders, they were different.
Stand by. I got to let a bug go. There we go. Okay.
No. Anyway, yes, and Julie is actually there in the chat room now, and I know that Julie posted something today on the group about spiders. And she's having a very significant connection to spiders at the moment. She wrote a very nice piece about what spiders and spider webs are teaching her. I don't have it in front of me now, but it was very, very nice.
Well, no more killing spiders.
Isn't it amazing that becomes something like what you were speaking about last week, a compulsion? I mean, I can't kill a spider now, It's just, my goodness, it's something I could not do,
Here's something that I haven't told too many people that happened to me recently. I have this little trailer that I sometimes go out to when I just need to be alone by myself, meditate, whatever. And one night I was out there in this little camp trailer that I have, and I was just about to drift off to sleep, and the Kunalini came to me and alerted me that there was a black widow spider in my camper, and that I needed to be aware of that. And so I immediately jerked the light on, and I'm looking for that black widow spider. It's like, okay, I don't see it now. Okay, whatever. Maybe I was just, some fear surfacing or something like that. And then a day later, I was back in the trailer again, and my gaze was turned, i.e., when I say my gaze was turned, my head was turned at just the right time that I could see the black widow and where it was. And boom, I saw it. And I was going, and I was thanking the Kundalini for giving me a heads up. And I'm going, well, what does it want me to do? Here's a test. Black widow, poisonous spider in this little tiny trailer, and oh my gosh, I'm not allowed to kill a spider. And so I just let it be there for a while. You got to remember that I'm not. I've never been attacked by a black widow, and I've been surrounded by them many, many times. I mean, within a foot or two of meditating every day for a year inside an aluminum garden shed filled with black widow spiders. They never touched me once. They were very, very, and I never touched them either. I didn't do anything to mess with their lives at all. And so I didn't want to kill this spider, and I wasn't going to kill this spider no matter what. Matter of fact, I didn't want to harm it. And I came to the conclusion, okay, I'm just going to leave it there, and if it stays there, I'm fine with that. And if it wants to go into a cupboard or something like that, I'm fine with that too. As long as it doesn't travel. If it travels, I'm going to have a problem. Okay. So I told it that don't travel. That's your spot. This is my spot. Fine, we'll share it. Not a problem. Okay. And so one day I come back in and I see it's traveling. And oh my gosh. And so it was an automatic move on my part. I just grabbed a cup, I scooped it up in a cup, and I tossed it outside, and I never had the problem again. But the magical part of this story for me is the Kundalini telling me that it was even there. Very, very cool. And so I want everybody who is interested in Kundalini to honor the spider. Honor the spider. It is not easy. Believe me, it is not easy. I've seen tarantulas out here in Arizona that'll just make your head spin. I mean, they're huge, and they jump 12 feet. You just be good with them. Don't go out and try to pick them up. I know the people that are really interested in arachnids, and all that stuff. That's good. As long as you don't hurt them, and you don't interrupt their life cycle, then they won't hurt you or interrupt yours. They're not hunting humans like humans are hunting them. There's a certain species out here in Arizona right now that they have their migration, and you see hundreds of giant, gosh, geez Louise, these are huge tarantulas. Just walking across the desert, the males are looking for the females, that whole bit. So honor the spiders in your life. Honor the sacred weaver woman, sacred feminine. Notice the Native Americans didn't give the spider a male persona or a male gender. It gave a sacred feminine gender. And this is very important to realize as well, because it's a sacred feminine, the Kundalini, that comes to us first. The sacred father supports the sacred mother. The sacred mother supports the sacred child. Get it? Get it, Magdalene? Wait, okay. So yeah. As we continue with this program about the healing, the spider also has very, very, very. For some of you who do not know, spider webs can be antimicrobial, antifungal, like moss. Okay, which I don't want you going out there collecting spider web and throwing it on your broken arm. Go to the ER for the broken arm. But just know that there are remedies that use spider silk as a way to address a wound or to bring a person out into a healing vector for themselves. And out here, I have to say that the spiders are quite large. They're quite big. They're quite aggressive out here, but only aggressive to those who would disturb them or kill them. Like those companies. He's not protecting Magdalene or Amelia Santara or Chrism. She's protecting all Kundalini people because she is part of the Kundalini context. The sacred spider is part of the Kundalini context, just like the serpent. And those two, in conjunction with each other, will help develop very, very positive healing frequencies. Those who can honor and recognize their presence and their position within the Kundalini awakening experience. Know this. Yeah, go ahead.
There's a conversation, Chrism, in the chat room, so I'll share it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Julie is saying she's always had an affinity, with spiders. She saw a huge black spider when she was 4 or 5. And when you were speaking about your Kundalini telling you about the spider, she went spidey sense, laughing out loud. I used to say I had that because I would get a feeling all over my body, and then shortly afterwards I would find the spider. And Elizabeth says, now the children call for her to come and take the spiders out. instead of their father because he squishes them. So that's kind of nice. That's lovely.
That is nice. Yeah. Don't squish the spiders. Don't squish the spiders. Now, I was blessed with also with the Kundalini coming to me yesterday as I came down from one of the psychic vortexes here in Sedona. It's called Bell Rock. And Bell Rock is like the main vortex here that everybody goes to. And we were up there making friends with people from the other side of the country. And as soon as I started to come down, I took a step down, just like maybe 10 or 15 steps, and there was a snake right there, waiting. And I noticed it, and it noticed me. He just kind of had a little, hey, how are you? And it knew I wasn't going to hurt him, and he very slowly and without any kind of anxiety, slowly, gently slithered away. It was just nice to make the eye contact. The eye contact and the unspoken agreement that neither of us would harm either one. And we were friends. And we both left each other in peace and harmony without disturbing either of our life cycles. It was cool. Very cool. I had that experience yesterday. So, as Magdalene mentioned to you, she has spiders come to her all the time. And, she had, the equivalent of the French version of arachnophobia. Is it any different in France?
No, nothing is arachnophobia.
So she, and I'm going to welcome this topic right because it fits so well into the healing conversation we're having. Kundalini will heal your phobias. It will bring to your presence those phobias that have existed for you since you were a kid. And it will begin to assimilate that fear and ground the fear so that it no longer affects you in the negative way, but helps you understand in a very positive context the level of grace that the animals have and the environment has with regards to the Kundalini. Remember, the spider is at the top of the web. It's the top of the food chain for for arachnids, right? Spiders are a big deal. More spiders here on this world than people. Think about that. Anyway, so if you would like to join our conversation, feel free. The number is 347-934-0026. I'm going to bring Eileen on board here. Hello, Eileen.
Hi, Chrism.
You got any good spiders out there in Florida?
I haven't seen too many. I think I'm a little bit too high.
You mean altitude-wise, right?
Yes. But we do have a number of spiders. Some very dangerous ones if they take a liking to you. But I was thinking while you were talking, if you don't mind me saying a little bit. I was always under the impression from your teachings that we need to get permission to heal someone. And if I understand what you're saying now, is it...
No. There's a big difference between giving healing and a prayer. Giving a prayer for healing is an indication of not stepping in to the role of the healer, but letting the Kundalini do that. It's a very important distinction. Yes, if you're doing the hands-on thing, then you have to have permission to do that. If you're doing the prayer thing, you need no permission because the Kundalini will do what it needs to do, what it feels is appropriate for that person's karma. It will do.
Well, I really appreciate that distinction because I have been concerned for myself, not wanting to offer healing having to ask permission. But if it's so now using prayer, I may be able to.
No, there's no way. You can actually do it.
I can
do it. You just have to just look into how you're forming the prayer and why. That's why I usually suggest that people do prayers for strangers that they see in harsh circumstances. I do it all the time, and for me, it's just a glance, and the prayer is done.
Right.
And I can see the effect on the person, and so for you, Eileen, yes, say the prayer. Always let the Kundalini do the prayer or do the work. Always pray to the Kundalini for that other person. And then the Kundalini, God does not need permission. God does not need permission, my dear.
Okay. Well, no, that's good.
And you have the hand of God working on your shoulder.
Okay, well, that clears things up a bit.
Okay. All right, my dear. Nice to hear you. Okay. Well, everybody, I'm going to give you an opportunity, one last opportunity to make a phone call. Here it is. The number is 347-934-0026. 347-934-0026. I want to say thank you to Amelia, Santara, Eileen, Rosemary, Magdalene de Deus, Fashti, and Julie, and Elizabeth Gonzalez, Dalton Gonzalez, EDG. Hello. I would like to welcome any of our new and beloved Kundalini friends that are there in the chat room, and also for the many of you that are going to listen to this in the archive. Hello. You can go on YouTube at Chrism Kundalini, and that will take you to about 300 videos for you to partake of. Looks like we have a caller, so I'm going to go ahead and do this. Here we are. Hello, caller. How are you?
Oh, darn, it's that Foster guy again.
Hi, buddy. Hello.
Hello. We've been having so much fun here. I've just been enjoying everything.
The Spider King.
Oh, yes. Well, I don't happen to be one that dreams of spiders, but since I said that, perhaps the Kunalini will provide an experience for me. I'm not looking forward to it, but, we'll deal with it as it comes.
Yeah, that's the best attitude, I feel. Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in here just for a moment. I beg your pardon?
You may not have spider karma.
Well, let's hope not. But if I do, then I'll just deal with it as I do now, cautiously, but with great respect.
Just be friendly.
Yeah.
Be friendly and respectful.
That's the way I try to go about it. I did call in because I had something that I wanted to just share.
Please do.
As a few of you know, I've recently gone through a loss of the transition of my only remaining sister, who I love very deeply. And I had to journey to Maryland to actually attend the memorial service. So I was going to drive, and that's about 7.5 hours of driving. And since I've been somewhat a bit crippled by my health problems, my mother, my niece, and my wife did not want me to drive, so I had to fly on an airplane. And I had, for some reason, a bit of apprehension about being on airplanes, but God knows why, with all of the things that are going on with airplanes in the world today. But anyway, I overcame that, and I got on an airplane and made the trip there. But I wanted to just say this. At the beginning of each and every one of my meditations, I try to do the prayer to divinity and the divine Kundalini. And at the tail end, I give thanks for all that it was gained through the union of this meditation, and that I only hope that all, my hope is that all within the divine body of the Holy Spirit, or the divine Kunalini, will also I'm looking for a word here, will also benefit from what I was able to gain through that. So I try to make it such that all of creation is able to benefit from whatever was given to me during the period of union through meditation. So I did this, and I of course, was asked to speak at the memorial service. And now that my emotional body is somewhat stable, I'm able to speak about this. So at the tail end of my talk, I spoke about a number of the safeties. Strangely enough, I guess it's become so much a part of me that I feel that everybody needs to really take advantage of this. And I'll just share. I spoke of only just a few of them. I'm sorry, Master C.
I said, very good. Please do.
I spoke of forgiveness, honesty, inner joy, and prayer, gratitude, and love. And I have to tell you that I could feel, it was palpable in the room when I started to speak of the safeties, how the Kundalini started to descend into the room and to comfort everyone. And I wanted to mention that, what you say a lot of times is that it could be an activation sequence too, the safeties. And they are very important to our unfoldment spiritually. So after I finished, I happened to notice that my body was not responding as I would like it to have, and I started to stumble, but I was able to get back to my chair. As I got back to my chair and we continued with the rest of the service, I hadn't realized that I was in a heightened state of consciousness. And towards the end, my niece started to lose it because, of course, she and her mother were best friends. And I think I shared this with you, Chrism, that my hands started to pulse with this divine energy to comfort her during this most trying time. And I actually saw the difference in her demeanor. Now, I don't know if she really, got a chance to feel what I was feeling, but I saw a definite change in her. And I was very grateful to have met you and started on this process of the Kundalini, because it's been quite a while since I had my initial awakening experience. You've been working. I've known you since what, 2006, 2007? Well, it's been at least 6.5, 7 years now, and even before then, I had that top down. But I've been fortunate enough to have it come through properly from the bottom up, and I think they call it some kind of spinal sweep or something like that. But anyway, I'm most grateful, and I just wanted to share that sometimes the Kundalini will make its decision on who will be healed in our presence without us really making a concerted effort to do it. It just comes through. Especially if you're awakened. If you're awakened, that Kundalini can grab and it will pull itself to all who need healing in that room. And you may not be able to see. You may not be able to see You may not be able to see it on them, but it is there. It is there. It's as real as the shoes on your feet, and
And the fact that you felt the Kundalini pulsing through your palms is a huge indication of what is occurring. It doesn't matter whether you see the results. What matters is that the Kundalini is giving the results through you. And you, friend Vashti, you have only to thank yourself and God and the grace that's flowing within you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Master C.
You have
thank you very much.
You have this in you're using it, and it's using you in the ways that are very beneficial for other people. I want you to always know that whether you're on a train, whether you're in a car, whether you're on a bicycle, whether you're just walking, Kundalini is with you. Kundalini cares about you, and it will protect you from everything. Doesn't mean, you're going to play blind man's bluff on the way. But it does mean that you got an extra, shall we say, spiritual grace that follows every movement of your life, every thought that you think, and every action that you do. And don't see it as if, oh my gosh, God is watching me because I, left the toilet seat up or something like that, right? Not about it. Although all the women are going, oh yes it is. It's exactly.
Well, I just wanted to say this. Recently, sometimes I have a problem distinguishing between me and it. And I see that as a blessing. I'm grateful for it. Sometimes I don't know which one of us is actually thinking. So I try to stick to the practice as you prescribe, Master C. And I'm just very grateful to everyone, Magdalene, Santara, Rosemary, my good friend, and I'm drawing a blank right now, but she always helps me. Eileen. And how did you know that? Well,
Eileen's been very helpful.
And of course Julie and all the rest that are so just active within this whole sphere of spirituality. I thank you. Thank you, Master C.
What cracks me up about this, our little program here, is that we have all these activated women, right? All these active women, my gosh, coming out the ears of women, and Osho's telling everybody, girls can't have Kundalini.
That is a joke, isn't it? I don't see it that way.
Yeah, me neither. Sacred Feminine, I'm sure, doesn't see it that way either. But yeah. I see I'm very pleased to see so many women activating. I think it's exceptionally important. And I just want to say, thank you, Vashti, for having the courage to call, number one, and the courage.
So many women. Yes, you're right.
Say something nice.
Hello,
love to all of you.
Courage.
Yes, indeed. No, I'm perfectly. I'm at ease. I'm at ease amongst all of this, and I in the past practice that I was in, because when I'll share this and I'll get off, it was a group or a select group of women that surrounded Paul Twitchell before he actually brought it out, and they actually were very, very instrumental in it becoming a reality. So I don't look at this in a negative way. I see this as something that's been very positive for the Kundalini and for you as well, Master C. And I thank you for allowing me to just share this, because it's been a source of pain, but yet a source of awareness, growing awareness within me. So,
well, thank you, Vashti. Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for stepping in.
Much.
Okay.
Okay, I'll step in. I'll go into the green.
Go into the blue. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you.
Everyone, with that, I would like to say thank you for listening to this broadcast. I would like Her Holiness, Amelia Centaur, to come online, and I'd like to thank John O'Connor and Amelia Centaur, their family, for providing this show for everyone. This is because of them, everyone. See, they get all the blame.
Oh no, we don't.
So really, thank you both. I mean, really, this is such a beautiful gift that you're giving to people. Amelia, thank you. I've been reading you on the Facebook. I really like what you've been reading or what you've been writing about devotion. Please continue. Feel free to spread that into any of the groups. Okay, you've been writing very well about that, and I would encourage everybody to read her teachings of devotion. Devotion is exceptionally important, and the more devotion you have, once again, the Kundalini really amplifies itself through devotion, through your devotion to it, and therefore through itself into you and into others around you. So thank you, Amelia, for that as well.
You're welcome, Chrism, and thank you for being here and for all the teachings that you give. It's wonderful.
Well, thank you, Amelia. And I'm going to put you into the blue, and I'm going to say many, many thanks to Magdalene de Deus. Magdalene, thank you for joining us on this program today.
Thank you, Chrism, and thank you to everybody listening today.
All right, everyone. This is Chrism signing off from Sedona, Arizona, and I hope to talk with you again next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Bye-bye.